at its finest right here. Max on your left, Paul on your right. Infect, Black Red Reanimator. Let's have some fun, shall we?
Sure.
We will see Max at the Players' Championship in about 6 weeks. It starts at the Game Center in Roanoke, Virginia. Should be a lot of fun. It's off to a great start here. Perhaps this will be his legacy weapon of choice for that tournament. We will see.
This is a fine start. He's got to be feeling pretty good about his deck choice right now.
Paul's on the play?
It looked like Paul just passed.
Paul's on the play and just passed. Okay. Okay. Done that before.
Well, it's possible Paul wants to go discard, turn 2 discard, turn 3 reanimate.
It's a little slow.
But yeah, in a legacy environment,
It's a little slow.
that's a tough one.
Yeah. Here's a Glistener Elf. So the times that I have said go on turn 1 was when I was playing. Yeah, I would rub that card too. The times where I have said go, I was playing Charbelcher.
Okay.
And I just needed another source of mana.
Yeah, one more mana source.
Which the entire deck is.
Yep.
So this is a little slow. Max has a Glistener Elf. Paul could die now, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a very real thing.
And even if he doesn't die, Max, it looks like he's sitting on Force of Will, Daze.
Some pretty good cards.
Yeah, some pretty good cards.
Max may be a little confused at what's happening right now. This is a Brainstorm. It's a good Magic card. Start there.
Above average.
Yeah, not bad. 3 cards on the way here for the Columbus Invitational Champion. Flusterstorm among them. One thing you have over Max, just so that you know, you probably have better handwriting.
That you're having difficulty with that deck list?
Yeah. Probably better handwriting. Gonna have to work on his penmanship.
We'll make sure we get a message to him after this round.
Oh, yeah. Brainstorm is done resolving. Pendlehaven is here. That's a Noble Hierarch. A little exalted for the Glistener Elf. 2 infect for Paul. 8 to go. Time for Paul to draw a card.
Professor Phillips does not appreciate the papers that Max has been turning in.
No.
Yeah.
No.
All right, Paul, you got to wow us here because...
For example, as Paul is going to finally play a land, Max has written down Flusterstorm, which is
a powerful.
That's not a card.
Powerful spell.
That's good old Flusterstorm. Come on, Max. Paul is going to get a basic swamp, a beautiful one at that.
So this Reanimator deck that Paul is piloting, it does have Chancellor of the Annex, but it's a little bit different than what we saw earlier. He doesn't have Unmask. He has Collective Brutality in the main deck, and he's sporting 4 copies of Simian Spirit Guide to help him be a little more explosive.
Okay, okay. This is Dark Ritual. Is this going to resolve? Daze. Pick up a Tropical Island. Simian Spirit Guide will allow Paul to pay for the days.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. We got a little something brewing here.
Okay.
All right. 3 black mana in the pool. We'll see if Dark Ritual has not resolved yet. I take that back. The daze has been paid for. Dark Ritual still on the stack. Max might want to Force of Will this.
Yeah, obviously the nightmare here for Max is if he lets this resolve, thinking he'll counter the important spell. If his opponent goes discard spell and reanimate spell.
Mm-hmm. Or just multiple reanimate spells as well. Exhume. I would probably not want to let this resolve. There's a Force of Will, remove a Blighted Agent. Okay. Max going to fall down a little bit lower. Exhume is countered. Okay, there's a Reanimate.
And it's not a real big surprise that Paul had everything here.
Well, he didn't do anything for the first couple turns,
there's a reason he kept his hand.
I would hope he had something.
Yeah.
And now there's a Gristlebrand on the battlefield. Well, well, well.
All right, all right, all right.
Yeah. It's not so funny now. He's got a 7/7, and he's going to, I mean, he can just freely pay to draw 7 cards because he has to worry about his regular life total. So over to Max McVety we go. You just had an opponent not play anything for the first 2 turns, and you look like you're losing. Here's a Brainstorm. Days among these cards. Things can change in Legacy real fast.
Oh, it looks like a Flusterstorm.
Excuse me, that's
A Fusterstorm.
Fusterstorm.
I apologize.
Thank you. Fusterstorm.
My mistake.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Max is going to put 2 cards back here in just a moment. This is a Trop. As Brainstorm is done resolving. All right, that's a way from to steal this thing.
Yep.
With a Blight Agent, given that it is unblockable. And he's going to need it. Now, he does have an Invigorate, a Daze, a Noble Hierarch, and a Pendelhaven, so he can cobble together quite a bit of damage here. But this is, boy, this is getting tough here for McVety. Paul's going to start by paying 7 life to draw 7 cards.
Yep. Get as much information as possible, and then make your decisions.
Yep.
I like it.
So 7 cards on the way for the Black-Red Reanimator player.
Yeah, Paul does not have a whole lot of interaction. We said he does have the Collective Brutalities in his main deck. That would be a good one. If he could reanimate a Tidespout Tyrant.
That would be fantastic.
And then cast a spell or 2. Yeah, that would be spectacular. The Sire of Insanity is okay, but not great.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think it's just okay. Here's a Lotus Petal.
You know, any pump spell off of the top of Max deck combined with, you know, the Pendelhaven and the Noble Hierarch is going to be a big issue.
A couple of spells here. There's a Faithless Looting. Use a Simian Spirit Guide to play it.
Okay.
Yeah. I was taken aback for a moment.
Yeah, I didn't. Look down at the deck list for 1 second, and he's removing Simian Spirit Guides from his hand.
Gonna figure out what 2 cards he wants to discard here. This is one of those times where you wish your deck really had Elishnorn.
Yeah.
Very difficult for Infect to beat that card.
Oh no, yeah, they can't beat that card.
But this isn't a deck that's reliant on Entomb. It's just a deck that can actually play Entomb. Now, he does have some interesting cards on the sideboard that we will get to. Elishnorn among them to help him out in this matchup and other matchups. Paul's still considering an attack here. Because at the end of the day, he actually does have to get Max dead.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Collective Brutality would be really good if he had it, and escalating it would be very easy. And here it is. So here is Collective Brutality. And we will take a look at this very powerful card. He's discarding an Animate Dead to it. He's going to escalate at least once. Looks like only once. Going to select some modes on the card. There are actually some good ones to choose from here. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You can take an instant or sorcery, something I think he'll have some real interest in.
Oh, yeah.
Assuming his opponent has a pump spell. You can give a creature -2/-2. As here's a Daze. And then you can do the target opponent loses 2 life and gains 2 life, but this matchup's really not about that. So right now it's -2/-2 on Blighted Agent, and then take a look at the grip. Going to take the Invigorate, obviously. And then Blighted Agent bites the dust. And now Gristlebrand is clear for takeoff. There is not a card that Paul can die to next turn, I believe. Pendelhaven gets +1 plus gives plus.
Become Immense.
Yeah, you're right. There is a card. Yeah, what am I thinking? Jeez. Yeah. I forgot about +6 because I was thinking about doubling power like Berserk or Invigorate. Yeah, Become Immense does it. Become Immense always does it. Never mind.
Yeah. It's just 1 mana for +6/+6.
Yeah, it always does it.
It's a fair card, right?
Something like that. Fortunately for Paul, Max didn't have it. Here comes Gristlebrand again. Max right now has a Flusterstorm in his hand. And I think he actually knows the next card he's drawing.
Yeah, I believe.
From
Was it a
Brainstorm?
Wasteland?
Yeah, I think he knows the next card. So this is bad news for your Columbus Invitational champion.
Yeah.
7 cards on the way here from Gristlebrand. Paul going to fall down to 11. He could go again if he wants to.
Yeah, he gets to peel a million this turn.
Now, I remember back when Gristlebrand was unveiled and a lot of Reanimator decks were showing up and people were saying this card needs to be banned. It needs to get out of here. It's way too powerful.
Gristlebrand is a very pushy card.
I agree with that.
Yeah. It really moved the envelope forward for what you get when you reanimate something. It's not just a big creature. Is that
I believe that is a
Entomb?
That is an Entomb. New art
Okay.
Entomb. I believe from Eternal Masters.
And there's the Tidespout Tyrant.
Yeah, you said this was a good one to go towards.
Yeah, when you draw 14 cards a turn.
Might have a spell to play.
Yeah.
Maybe. Chances are.
You're playing Lotus Petals, Dark Rituals.
He might have a spell to play.
Yeah.
Tyrant's the plan now. Dark Ritual. To note, Paul has played a couple of spells this turn. Now here is Animate Dead, I believe. And Flusterstorm, yeah, Flusterstorm can't target that.
Oh, the enchantment, yeah.
And now a spell. Oh yeah, Lotus Petal, see you later, Glistener Elf. I think this one's a wrap now.
Yeah.
So no play on turn 1 or turn 2 for Paul Michael.
Yeah. And if you were to take an Infect player and you were like, hey, this is your hand. Like you get turn 1 Glistener Elf, you get Force of Will, you get Daze. Your opponent's not playing anything on turn 1 or 2. Like how often do you take this? Every time.
100 times out of 100?
Yeah. So it's interesting seeing how resilient these Reanimator decks look in the face of all of these counterspells.
I am impressed by that game.
Yeah.
That is for sure. I did not expect Paul to win that game at all.
No.
Yet here we are. Paul Michael is up a game here over Max McVety as Black-Red Reanimator showing out up a game over Infect. So we will take a look at the sideboards, and we will start with Max McVety. And he's got 2 Submerge and a lot of fun-ofs. Seal of Primordium, Flusterstorm, Surgical Extraction, Bajuka Bog, Crozing Grip, Crop Rotation, Viridian Corruptor, Dismember, Wasteland Karakas, Sylvan Library, Force of Will, and Hydroblast. Craig, what do we want for this matchup?
He has a lot of goodies for this matchup. So at least he's positioned his sideboard well. I expect to see the Crop Rotation package along with the Bajuka Bog and the Karakas to come into his deck. The Surgical Extraction is obviously an all-star, and another Force of Will. Very good here. We might even see the Sylvan Library as he plays a slightly longer game. His life total doesn't matter as much, so the Sylvan Library just is draw 2 extra cards for every turn.
For Paul Michael, 4 Ingot Chewers, 2 Pithing Needle, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Sire of Insanity, 2 Sneak Attack. Going that route where Todd Anderson's going to Show and Tell, along with Elish Norn, and Iona Shield of Emeria, and Buzz.
Buzz, the Queen Bee.
Yes. Do we like the Queen Bee here?
I don't think so.
It's pretty good against Ink Moth.
Yeah, it is, but I feel like Elish Norn is just better in all of those situations.
Okay.
But it's possible that he just wants diversified. You know, if something gets Surgical Extraction, he wants another good card against all of these cards. But if your opponent has a little 1/1 unblockable, you're not real happy about showing up with all the bees.
Yeah, Hornet Queen's not going to do it against Blighted Agent. That is for sure. So we'll see how Paul and Max do on a sideboard here, but in the meantime, we are going to talk about the Commander Versus series, which is a very popular video series on StarCityGames.com, the StarCityGames.com YouTube page, and it's so popular, in fact, that you guys have asked for it. We're happy to bring it to you. With the release of Commander 2016, we are also making those awesome Commander playmats available that you see Jonathan Suarez, Justin Parnell, Stephen Green, and Jeremy Knoll use. So if you like green, you like gold, you like blue, you like red, it's your choice. You can also get your hands on the Commander 2016 edition, both decks and the whole set of 5. Pre-order today. Ships November 11th. Go to StarCityGames.com/Commander 2016.
And if you like other colors, too bad.
That's all we got for right now. The blue, the green, the red, and the gold. Max McVety, our Columbus Invitational champion, we are going to see him later this year. Maybe we'll see Paul Michael a little bit later this year as well, but we know we're going to see Max at the Players' Championship this year. We take a look at the players that are qualified for the Players' Championship. Max among them. He got it done in Season 1 of the Columbus Invitational. Jeff Hoagland, Jerry Thompson, Andrew Tenjum, well, they had the most points in Season 1, so they'll be headed that way. For Liam Lonergan, he did win our New Jersey Invitational. Tom Ross, Andrew Jessup, and Kevin Jones, they had the most points in Season number 2. And our defending champion, Jim Davis, he's headed back there as well. StarCityGames.com Players' Championship, December 17th and the 18th. A little bit later this year, but we got to figure out who those other 7 faces are going to be, and that'll be what the Atlanta Invitational is for. And for these next couple of weeks here on the SCG Tour, where we are in Baltimore here this weekend, we are in Columbus next weekend, we're in Knoxville the weekend after that, and then all of a sudden that Atlanta Invitational is here, and we're filling out those next 7 photos.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room left for players to get in there.
Yeah.
And so we see at an event like this, we have 8 former Invitational winners show up for this event. People, they know it's the end of the year, and they're running out of opportunities to make that push.
Yeah, you know, things get real tight around the end of the year. You know, a player like Jacob Baugh, who's had a really, really good year here on the SCG Tour, he's trying to qualify. Danny Jessup is the only member of Team Metagame Gurus who hasn't qualified. Jim, his brother Andrew, and Kevin Jones are all going. So obviously there's some pressure on him to want to be he doesn't want to be the only member of the team on the outside looking in.
Sure.
You know, and he played in the Players' Championship last year and made day number 2. So those are just 2 people. Todd Anderson, another.
Yeah.
Runner-up at the Players' Championship. He's having trouble getting there this year. Brad Nelson was the first winner of the Players' Championship. He's having a tough tournament this weekend.
Yeah.
So we are going to see who's going to head to Roanoke at the end of the year and who's going to be on the outside looking in for that Players' Championship. A lot of people's favorite tournament to play in. It's going to be a lot of fun this year.
And Max, Max, after that first game, he had a bit of that look on his face of, how did this go wrong? like.
Well, that loss. That's the story you come up and your friends are like, hey, did you win or lose? And you're just like, you are not gonna believe.
Yeah.
How I just lost.
I'm gonna describe a situation to you, and you're gonna want to walk away after I tell you my opponent didn't have anything in play on turn 2. But don't walk away because the story's not over.
You are not going to believe what just happened to me. But it just happened, and we all got to watch it.
Yeah.
I was a little skeptical of this Blackguard Reanimator deck. It felt kind of like a glass cannon to me. Might be a little more resilient than I thought. It certainly showed it in that game where it didn't do anything for 2 turns against Infect. That's for sure. Looks like Paul's going to send it back.
Yeah, well, we've already spoken to the Chancellor of the Annex, really being just possibly that extra disruption that they need to give them the turn to reanimate the creature just before their opponent can stop them. But the other card, like we all know Gristlebrand's the best thing to reanimate almost every time. And once you reanimate that, I mean, the glass cannon makes it sound like you do one thing and you're done. But if you can reanimate Gristlebrand, even if they have an answer for their Gristlebrand in play, you've just peeled 14 more cards and you're definitely going to be able to reanimate something again. On top of that, he has Sire of Insanity. Sure, that's a glass cannon, but when it works, your opponent has no chance. They don't even have a hand anymore.
Yep.
So I think it's about finding the right things to reanimate.
I'll say this, when this deck does win, this Blackguard Reanimator deck, it looks very impressive doing so. Todd winning on game 1 against Jim Davis earlier today. That game from Paul.
Yeah.
The wins are very lopsided and very memorable. That's for sure. Now, does this deck mulligan well? I think that's a question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it needs the requisite number of pieces in order to do its thing. You know, you need a way to get one of your fatties into the graveyard and then a way to resume it and the mana to do all of this as fast as possible. It's a lot of pieces to put together.
Paul did keep his 6. He scribed to the top. We're underway here. It's a Gataxian Probe from Max to start things off. Max will fall down to 18, and we will see Paul's hand here in just a moment. Reanimate, a Collective Brutality, a Simian Spirit Guide, a Hornet Queen, an Elish Norn, and a Lotus Petal.
Buzz, buzz.
Yeah.
So he has a lot going on here. He's very close to just doing what he wants to do. Turn one, he can, if he has a land on top, he can play the Collective Brutality, escalate it to discard something.
And reanimate. Jeez.
And reanimate.
Yep. Yeah, geez, if there's a land on top, he can just reanimate Elish Norn on turn one.
Yep.
One of the things Todd told us when he walked by, he's like, on turn one, I can win the game on 4 cards.
Yeah.
Like there are combinations of cards that allow him to reanimate a Gristlebrand on turn one, or like a Sire of Insanity on turn one, which is absurd.
Yep.
I mean, if there's a land on top of Paul's deck, and we don't know what he kept on top.
We're pretty confident that that's what's there.
Land or Lotus Petal or something, yeah. Like we have we are good to go, as they say. Let's see what comes next for Max. This is not what he wanted to see staring back at him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure Max wanted to go first turn Glistener Elf, get a little pressure on the board. But if his only disruption is in the form of Spell Pierce, he's going to think twice before tapping his mana.
We're in the tank.
Maybe think thrice.
Another probe. I don't need to see it again. Maybe you do, but draw a card. Berserk. So now Max is having Paul leave his hand face up because, okay, how do you do it?
Yeah.
Because Paul's obviously not going to tell him. So it's, if he draws a land, he plays a land, probably uses Simian Spirit Guide. That'll allow him to play Collective Brutality, escalate once or twice.
Yep.
Pass the turn back, so we draw.
Basic Swamp. Good one.
Yep. Now, you want to do this via Spirit Guide, not Lotus Petal, because you don't want to get Spell Pierced. Because if he plays Lotus Petal, Max is going to Spell Pierce him.
Sure. Well, the Lotus Petal has to be the second black source, too, to cast the Reanimate. Well,
so you want to go Swamp. I think you want to go Swamp, Simian Spirit Guide, Collective Brutality, because you don't care if it gets countered.
Sure.
But if he just Spell Pierced the Lotus Petal right there, that would have been bad news, I think.
Well, yeah, Max is still in the same situation next turn, right?
Yeah, next turn he's still in the same spot.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So here's Collective Brutality.
It's going to be the 2 modes that he can choose here.
Yes, which are Drain 2 and then
Duress.
Yeah, Duress. Take a look at your hand.
And it looks like Max's only disruption is the Spell Pierce. So he's going to Spell Pierce this spell. Because if he shows his hand, he's going to show that he only has a Spell Pierce. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be what gets discarded anyway. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean the game is over if Paul ends up with this Elish Norn in play this turn. If Max has the crop rotation package.
I believe that's a Daze. He's got mana floating. Okay. Yeah, crop rotation plus Caracas.
Plus Caracas, yeah. Ship it back to his hand. And
so blue floating here for McVety. Paul's going to get to write down the cards. His Collective Brutality will resolve. He's going to likely select Spell Pierce. And I think what Max is saying is, all right, I need to draw another piece of permission or, a surgical extraction or something.
Yeah, this is just an awkward spot for him.
Mm-hmm. So there goes the Spell Pierce. Pass the turn back. Draw a card. Windswept Heath. He'll play a Noble Hierarch, pass the turn back.
We'll see if that stays on the board here.
There's a pedal.
Oh, yeah, and
Here's reanimate. So
that's
now,
exactly what Paul wanted to draw, was another mana source to play around, potentially a Daze.
so now we're going to get out the old Berserk.
Okay. Okay.
We've got the back door out. One day I was talking to Tom Ross. I was telling him how good this matchup is for me, and he's just like, "Do you ever attack with Elshnorn?" And I was just like, "Yes." And he's like, "You shouldn't. You should not do that."
Okay. Yeah.
Does Max know the? So Max might not know the Berserk trick
Yes.
because you can target your opponent's creatures with Berserk to kill them.
Yep. Take a little extra damage. Who cares?
Totally fine
Yeah.
if it gets that off the battlefield. And given that he has not played Berserk on the Elshnorn, I don't think he knows this trick.
Yeah, obviously you want to do it the first time.
Yeah, you don't want to do it the second time because now it's off the table. Here comes Elshnorn again. Now McVety's down to 1. Windswept Heath can't be sacrificed. I think this game's probably all done.
Yeah.
But if he knew the Berserk trick, he may have been. I don't want to say he would have been a guaranteed to win, even though he just did peel Caracas. So
I like that.
Not bad.
We've had a lot of exciting draw steps.
Yeah, we have. All right. So this game's not done yet. Yeah, bounce that. You get to play Hierarch. He has force. Oh, he's at 1. Ugh.
That's it. Yeah, he can't even fetch with the land.
But he does have. This is awesome. So he has Become Immense and Berserk in hand.
Yep.
So he could attack for 14.
Yep.
And it could be 1/1, which might cut off some of the things that Paul could do. He could also just draw a pump spell to win right now,
Yep,
which
there
he
it
just
is.
did. Is this real?
This is not. Somebody was spreading rumors about the Star City matches being fixed.
Is this actually real? All right. So here's Become Immense. With the Exalted trigger, that's going to be 7. Invigorate's going to make it 11.
Yep.
And he can just alternate cast this.
Yep.
I don't think he has to play around anything. I mean, Become Immense is already resolved. He's kind of all in at this point.
Yeah, he doesn't want to give his opponent another turn either way.
And now he's going to play Berserk.
Yeah, in 22, yeah, bro.
Are you kidding me?
I cannot believe that series of cards just peeled off of his deck.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm kind of dumbfounded. What is?
Oh my god! All right, I guess we're gonna play a third game now.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I guess Max McVety ties things up against Paul Michael. In fact, Black Red Reanimator are apparently going to a third game.
Now Paul gets to walk over to his friends and tell the story.
So you won't believe what just happened to me.
You won't believe what just happened. Yeah.
So somehow the third game has to live up to the first two, which is basically impossible.
Yeah, not possible.
Yeah, it's basically impossible now at this point. Wow. Okay. We'll take a look at the sideboards here briefly as these players are going to shuffle up. They're already not even going back to the sideboards. I don't think much changes outside of who can have the more absurd draw this time. Paul is on the play, so we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, Paul's hand was so good.
Paul's hand on a Mulligan 6 bordered on perfect.
Yeah.
Bordered on perfect. Collective Brutality was the card he was obviously looking for. He's going to take a look at the deck box one more time. Wow. Okay. Well, while these players get ready for game number 3, and we get ready for game number 3, you get ready for game number 3, as most of you do know, Ultimate Guard, fantastic product company, does sponsor the SCG Tour, and they've got some cool new products that are on the way. We'll show you one of those right now. big shout out to the awesome people over at Ultimate Guard. Thank you for your participation with the SCG Tour, and hopefully you guys have had the opportunity to check out some of their products because they are awesome. I actually use them myself. Big fan of them. Game number 3 here between McVety and Paul Michael. This whole thing is probably going to be a best of SCG Tour moment.
Those first 2 games, they don't get better.
Which one's more ridiculous? The first one where Paul does nothing for the first 2 turns and still wins relatively easily, or the one where Max peels Caracas and then peels Invigorate? Which one?
Yeah, I don't know which one you pick there. Like, yeah, obviously, if you're rooting for one of these guys, it sways your opinion.
Yeah.
But both of them, I mean, how often does your opponent go on the play, turn 1 nothing, turn 2 discard a card, and you're sitting on Days Force of Will, and you're going to lose this game?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like how? Like
I don't know. Oh man. For you at home, which one was more absurd? Tweet at us at SCG Live hashtag SCGBALT. Just, I don't even know.
Yeah, the second game, you know, he reanimates that Elishnorn through the Spell Pierce. You know, just the perfect opening after the mulligan. And you know, he misses the Berserk on the opponent's Elishnorn.
It's funny because if you don't know
1 life, like
if you don't know the Berserk trick in quotes, like for people who do know it, it looks like a really bad play for Max, like not berserking the Elishnorn. But if you don't know it, you just don't know it.
Yeah.
If you've never seen it before, maybe he doesn't play a lot of Legacy, whatever. Like if you don't know the trick, you don't even know it's an option because you've never done it before. So assuming he doesn't know it, which obviously he didn't,
yeah,
you know, him peeling out of that situation is absurd. Completely absurd. Whew. All right, game 3. Game 3 better be good. I don't want game 3 to be someone mulligans to 2. Paul taking a look. I think Max has already kept his. All right, he says he's going to keep. There's Chancellor of the Annex. Max will take a look at this. His first spell that he does play will cost 1 more. It's really good defense against Force of Will, which Max has in his hand. It's really good against that. Looks like Paul is going to sacrifice a Bloodstained Mire.
and there's lots of ways to pick up little victories throughout the day.
Okay.
I think whenever you make your opponent read a more obscure card that they're not familiar with,
that's a minor victory.
Yeah, that's a little W that you put in your pocket.
Yeah, you gotta like that. Entomb resolves. All right, search it up. Which one do you want? He wants to take a look at the Chancellor one more time. Let's do that with him. For those of you who have not seen the Chancellor of the Annex, you reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, when each opponent casts his or her first spell of the game, counter that spell unless that player pays 1 mana. And then, you know, it's a 5/6 flyer and blah. I guess when it's actually on the battlefield, it might be okay.
Yeah, it's still pretty good static ability.
Yeah.
Especially if that's what ends up being reanimated on the first turn.
Yeah, pretty good then.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, Gristlebrand. Are we going to see some sort of reanimation here?
Would you Gristlebrand here, or would you Elishnorn here?
Against Infect, most cases, a very high percentage of the time, I just get Elishnorn. That's generally good enough, but we'll see. Like, if his hand isn't very good and he feels like he needs to just draw more cards to solidify things to get to Elishnorn, then that's fine. But if I have exactly Entomb, I generally just go get. I generally just go.
That's awesome. This is so good.
I generally go get Elishnorn.
What's one way for me to interact with his graveyard without having to pay 1 mana?
Oh man, this is too good. This is the most ridiculous 3 games I've watched maybe ever. I've been doing this for over 4 years. All right, Paul.
Well, and Paul can still just have it here, right?
I absolutely can. He can still be totally fine.
He can still just have Faithless Looting or Entomb.
Yeah.
And a Reanimate.
Go get a swamp, not searching for red mana. I like how cool, calm, and collected they both are.
Yeah. Just the most ridiculous things are happening.
Yeah.
I would have thrown my deck across the room like 10 minutes ago. And these guys are just like, yeah, of course he has that. Why wouldn't he?
I expected to be Bojuka bogged.
On turn 1.
All right, okay. Simian Spirit Guide. What's this? This is Collective Brutality. Okay. Remember, Max hasn't played a spell yet, so the Chancellor effect is still going.
Yep. And it's about to get worse if that Chancellor gets in play.
Yep. Max going to read it for a 3rd time.
Yeah. The old triple check.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good for you. Force. Glistener Elf. Become Immense Blighted Agent. Windswept Heath. Yeah, it's drain 2 and, of course, discard. I kind of want to take Become Immense. I feel like that's the only way I could lose.
Sure. But yeah, the question for Paul here is, how long is this game going to go? Like, is that Force of Will going to be a big problem later on?
Well, Chancellor's Text is so relevant.
Yes.
Actually, I kind of brushed it off a couple minutes ago, but it's actually super relevant now.
No, I mean, if your opponent can just go play another land and Scorch the Plowshares, the Chancellor,
yeah,
like, who cares about the 1 extra mana they had to play? But when you don't have a way to actually get it off the board, it makes a huge difference.
And obviously Caracas isn't it. This isn't legendary. So here's the Reanimate. Okay, get this back. So keep in mind, the original Chancellor's effect is still in play. So the first spell that Max plays gets countered unless he pays 2 mana, and then all spells afterward will be countered unless he pays 1 mana. Flusterstorm the draw. That doesn't do anything. Here's Windswept Heath. Sacrifice that. Fall down to 17. All right, there's a Trop.
I know, 5/6 body is nothing to sneeze at there.
No, it closes the game out very quick.
Yeah.
Probably just wants to, just play this. Whatever he plays is going to be countered either way.
Yeah, the question, he can play...
He can play Blighted Agent,
The Blighted Agent, because next turn, if he doesn't draw another land, the Blighted Agent can't be cast into the Chancellor anyway.
All right, so that's done. McVety had to pay 2 to even be able to resolve that. Couldn't do it, so now Paul Michael will draw. In for 5. Yes.
No? Yeah? No?
Yes.
Get him.
Max down to 12. Badlands pass. McVety will draw. Misty Rainforest. All right. Where to go from here? The forces don't do very much. I really like the selection of Become Immense.
Yeah.
There's Glistener Elf, pay the 1, pass the turn. Paul will draw. Can't stop now. In for 5. Max is going to fall down to 7.
Yeah, and that Chancellor is going to make it super difficult. Even if Max had a couple of pump spells, he doesn't have the mana to cast all of them.
Yeah, picked up another land. He needed to kind of go a little runner here, I think, to be able to do this.
Yep.
It's not completely off the table, but I do think it's really hard. Because I think it involves a Brainstorm that will cost 2 mana, and he doesn't have a lot of life to work with. There is a Blighted Agent. Pay 1, he will. He's going to fall down to 6. Get a Trop.
Well, he can't even sack the last fetch land.
He can't sack the last fetch anymore, no.
So, you know, the Brainstorm tying up 2 mana leaves Max with only 1 mana left next turn.
Yep.
It's...
I'm pretty sure he comes up short.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he just draws some card that we're not thinking of. The one singleton to turn the game around.
Well, like
because that's all that happens every match that we watch.
So, like, the reality is he could draw Brainstorm, Brainstorm into land, Invigorate, put back 2 irrelevant cards, play the land, alternate cost Invigorate, alternate cost Invigorate, pay, and win that way, which is almost certainly what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
So, all right, what's this? Animate Dead on Glistener Elf. Doesn't stop the Blighted Agent.
That's so funny. Listen, the game's over one way or another. Might as well use this Animate Dead.
Please draw Brainstorm so we can have a sweat. No, I drew Blighted Agent. All right, that's going to do it. Paul Michael's going to win this match over Max McVety, 2-1. Black-Red Reanimator is going to take care of Infect. Oh, what a couple of games we just watched here.
Well, very impressive. We got to see what this Black-Red Reanimate deck can do.
We said that one was going to be fast.
There was a lot of play in that matchup.
Yeah, there was.
I thought this was going to be more, 2 ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
Just each of them trying to do their own thing. It wasn't that at all.
No, it was a lot more interactive than I thought it was going to be. That's at least 1, potentially 2 best of SCG Live moments, depending on how you want to edit the tape. Those first 2 games